Where's this road go? Nowhere.
Sneakers is a 1992 American thriller film directed by Phil Alden Robinson, starring Robert Redford, Dan Aykroyd, Ben Kingsley, Mary McDonnell, River Phoenix, Sidney Poitier, and David Strathairn.
It's the nicest garbage I've ever seen.
Welcome back to the Cult of Films. I'm John, the host. Who else is in the group, in the gang? Well, we have the resident safe cracker, Lindsay Washburn.
Oh, I thought you were going to keep going with something there.
Someone save me.
You're like Charlize Theron in The Italian Job.
This is a dying bit.
She was a safecracker, so that's quite a compliment.
And the
Thank
resident
you.
acrobat, Mr. Jason Eugene Alt.
Aykroyd bat. I'm
There you go.
batshit crazy like Dan Aykroyd is in this movie and also real life.
Going, yes, we know they're here. We know they're coming. We know people have been taken. We know there's experimentation going on. We know people have been told about agendas.
He's just playing himself.
He's playing a less crazy version of himself.
Yeah.
Because he goes the whole movie without mentioning aliens once, which is a thing he can't do in real life.
He does mention them once, but it's like in passing.
Yeah.
We're talking about 1992's Sneakers, a film that you probably have seen, but maybe you didn't know that you've seen, because that's what happened to me until Jason brought this one back up. So, Jason, why are we talking about Sneakers?
Oh, because it's a great movie with a great cast. And they don't make movies like this anymore too much.
Now speak right into this box.
Hi, my name is Martin Bishop. My voice is my passport. Verify me.
It's a caper film, but there's a mystery, there's a revenge plot, there's a heist plot. There's fake government agents, real government agents, River Phoenix. There's sneaking. It's not about shoes.
No.
Although when you
And,
Google this, that's what's going to come up.
The most capable person on their team is blind.
Yes.
Kind of like the same thing. Try another quadrant.
Very
So it had
true.
a multicultural, multiracial, multi-ability movie back in 1992.
Sure.
And they were a plucky band of misfits who couldn't get jobs because they'd all committed some crimes.
Yeah, it's Ocean's 11 AARP style, but kind of awesome too. I don't know, Lindsay, what was your kind of history with Sneakers? Is this just one that you saw for the first time for this, or
Oh
did you
no,
see this back in the day?
I saw this way back in the day when it first came out. I've always liked sneakers. I did a recommendation video on my channel about sneakers a couple years ago. Not enough people saw that because more people need to watch this movie. And I think a lot of people kind of write this movie off as a dad movie.
I could see that.
Because I asked people on
dads are
Twitter.
like,
The dad.
Well, and I asked people on Twitter, and a couple of people answered me like, "What makes a movie a dad movie? Just that dads like it."
Yeah, but it's something that you walk in the living room and your dad's watching it, and then you sit next to him for an hour and you don't talk to each other, and you consider it a bonding experience. It's like Brian's song or some shit, or Rudy, or a James Bond movie. That's some real dad shit.
I wondered when you might arrive.
So you are the mysterious octopus.
And you are James Bond. 007 License to Kill.
Something like
A John
dads
Grisham
just
movie?
watch. Yeah. Like
The
for me,
Firm.
it was my dad was watching Enemy Mine one time, and I was like, all right, this is a dad movie for sure.
Okay,
My
because
dad was watching
I just wasn't
Deliverance, and maybe that was his problem then.
I just wasn't sure like what the criteria were. I mean, does it have anything to do with what's going on in the movie, or is it just
It's a
because?
vibe.
Yeah, it's like
Okay.
an old guy cool, like old guys are cool movie. Old guys get it done.
The
type
Sting.
deal.
Okay.
Anything Robert Redford was in his whole career as a dad movie. Basically, can you think of like a hip movie? He was in Avengers. Like, what was hip that Robert Redford? He's in a movie where he doesn't talk for 2 hours. Like,
Fucking
he made a
hip in
movie
this,
about
though.
any movie about baseball. I guess for people my age, they think of their dad watching baseball movies and basketball movies and shit like that. So I guess it's maybe a Robert Redford movie. I don't know. It's just a vibe, man. It's a dad movie's a vibe. It's like if someone says this is a dad movie, everyone goes, yeah. But no one can define. It's like pornography. I can't define it, but I know it when I see it.
Okay.
Also,
because
it's very much a dad movie.
Well, and I've seen it used like as a way to discredit a movie, and that's why I kind of don't like it. Because it's like, well, big deal if dads like it. That doesn't make it a bad movie.
Those goddamn dads with their Crocs barbecuing, making sure everyone's fed, going to work. Those pieces of shit.
Right?
Oh no.
It's like, what's so bad that? Why is it bad? Because dads like it.
Dad liked Octopussy. Oh no.
So you are the mysterious Octopussy.
I mean, the cassette tape did have a scratch and sniff of like leather and cigar smoke, but I mean, besides that, it is a good film. It does, but everything about it does scream dad bod to it, right? Because it does. Even the cover art for it, it's just like, you know, it's really easy to read because it's like a white background. And it's got like just names of people that, you know, all the dads know about, and then at the very bottom, just in case, you know, you don't know who Cindy Pontier is, and in that era, you know, you could see him on the bottom. What I think the biggest marketing problem for this film is the name is just atrocious, because everything but this pops up. Even now is even more of a mess, now that the internet is so vast. But I mean, marketing something called Sneakers is insane. Like, I think more people saw the shitty movie
back
Black
when
Hat.
a tagline had to be good and a trailer had to be good. Like,
and
it
a
wasn't
poster
just
had
the
to be
name of
good.
the movie.
Yeah.
You saw the poster and it had a good tagline, you know?
And you saw who was in it.
And let's not cry for this film either. I mean, it $23 million budget to make it. It made $105 million.
Oh yeah, it did very well.
Shit. Right. And that's cast probably alone was the driving factor, but maybe why people don't go back for it as much as other things, you know? They're just like, sneakers. Why do I need to, you know, watch a movie about shoes?
And that's
with
just
Robert
the thing.
Redford?
There were movies of this era that, like, you have to go back for.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm always bad. I was like, why does anybody talk about Brendan Fraser's With Honors? And everyone's like,
what?
Not even School Ties. You're going to go with the Joe Pesci bum movie? There's just some stuff from that era that was just good and nobody remembers it.
No.
And Gen Z has never heard of fucking Sneakers.
No.
Right? So.
And they'll probably never watch it.
Yeah, and it will be so dated. Everything in the movie is like, what's an answering machine? Like,
Right.
The MacGuffin is an answering machine, and they don't know what that is.
They don't know what the fuck that means.
Yeah.
What's he need an answering machine for?
There's our little black box.
And that's the most charming thing about it too, is just it's so adorable how antiquated it is. But also, you're not lost with the antiquated technology either. You know exactly why these things, you know, kind of line up, and why the stakes are so high for these people.
Oh yeah, the way the dialogue especially is written, you've got this group of people and they're just bantering and stuff back and forth. And one, you get their character from that, but two, you also get a bunch of exposition through those conversations without it just completely being a exposition dump. It serves a purpose.
You're fed the info you need when you need it.
Yes.
Continuously, rather than an expo dump, which I thought was cool. Because you know, there's a thing. You're watching like an episode of House, and they crack the case 20 minutes into the episode. They're like, that guy's gonna get worse. They're hired to steal a thing. They steal it within 25 minutes, and you're like, there's a lot of movie left.
Right.
So you're like, maybe it's not just a heist movie. And it does a bunch of other stuff, and it's really interesting. So, like, just that stress of, like, nah, it was too easy. Can you imagine if the movie was 20 minutes long? But, like, other stuff happens, and you're like, well, I expected this arc to take 2 hours, and it took 20 minutes. What are they going to do now? And that was what I thought I found charming, like, as a 10-year-old watching this movie.
And the fact that they do all this and make it so interesting and sustain it being interesting and exciting for so long by essentially just people talking in rooms.
Yeah.
Everyone's finding shit out and then applying it to like a small little like micro action set piece, and then they go back and they talk about it for like another 20 minutes. And it sounds terrible on paper, but it's actually done so well because it's just so smartly written.
That's how you
And the
make a movie
cast
with-
and the cast that you have.
That's how you make a movie for $22 million with this cast.
Mm-hmm.
Is like it doesn't cost a lot. It's like 5 sets.
The genesis of this film was they talked director Phil Alden Robinson, and that was Lawrence Lasker and Walter Parks. They're the people that wrote it, and they went to some convention. I think they just came off making War Games, and so they were around kind of like a techie kind of convention scene, and then they're just like, oh, there's this other room, right? There's this other room. They're just like, oh, that's where the sneakers go, or the Black Hatters. And what a Black Hatter is essentially a corporate hacker, or someone that's good with technology and all this stuff. So they started talking to these people, and they're just like, there's something here. Let's see if we could actually make a movie about this. And so all these three gentlemen were like making other things for years. I think it was like 10 years, but they would talk every single day to progress this story. They always would come back to this, but they're always just like, this is more of like a passion thing. This is never going to come to fruition. Until Robert Redford signed on, he caught wind of it, and he's just like, yeah, that sounds awesome. And then everything else fell into place, and this fucking movie just like blew up, and just, the train couldn't stop at that point.
Twin Peaks is Gary Hirschberger playing young Bishop.
No.
Oh, what?
Right?
Yeah.
I knew him primarily as Matt Gilardi from 6 Feet Under, so I was like,
yeah.
I didn't even, until I rewatched Twin Peaks, I was like, oh yeah.
He was so like under like curly blonde hair and like freckles. I'm like, is that Clancy Brown? No, like I know who this is, but I couldn't put I don't know. Couldn't put
Sorry,
my
he wanted to play college age Robert Redford, but he was too busy making the Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah, I mean this film has it's I joked about it where it's kind of like a Ocean's 11 but with kind of old dudes.
Ocean's 11,
right? Just they looked older back in the 90s.
Right, exactly. But each one of these characters has a specific set of skills. Like we've already mentioned, one of them is just a straight up X-Men, because Whistler is the most OP fucking character on this team.
Because he listens.
Yes.
And he makes other people listen.
Whistler, I hate to tell you this, but you're blind.
Play the tape back again.
You can't even see anything.
Don't look. Listen.
But like, it was so charming early in the movie where he's like, it's the answering machine.
Mm-hmm. And he's like, don't look. Listen. And he hits the tuning fork.
Yeah. Where's there a cocktail party? It's just a gaggle of geese.
But what happens in Sneakers, John?
Oh God,
a lot.
A lot. You have our main character, Martin Bishop. It's like he and his buddy Cosmo are trying to do some heist as a prank. Yeah. And it's a prank that goes too far, and the government gets involved, and just by I would say just by chance, but it's not by chance, because Cosmo actually cheats. He does like a magic trick, like guess which one has the coin, and then so he makes Martin Bishop go get a pizza or something, and then little does he know that's when the CIA or FBI or something, they come and they kind of shut down everything. Cosmo goes to jail for forever, and then you have this big flash forward, and Martin Bishop, he's now been running from the government because he's kind of like a Edward Snowden-y, but more so for like the hacker
more like
version of that.
The guy who blew the Captain Crunch tune into the phone and got
right
to connect along. It's that guy. Like they're trying to catch that guy.
Yeah.
You know?
And now
he's not D.B. Cooper. He's just like some guy wanted for computer crimes, and he spent more years on the run than he would have done in jail.
Well, what's the statute of limitations on that shit?
Right. Yeah.
Right?
It can't be 30 fucking years.
Prank?
Yeah.
Longer than arson, I know that.
Oh my god.
But as far as he knows, Cosmo goes, his buddy goes to prison, and then he dies in prison, so he has this overwhelming guilt, so he's trying to use his gifts for good. He has this business where banks and other companies hire him and his ragtag group of would-be felons or whatever, these kind of Robin Hood merry men, to go in and kind of test the firewalls of their security systems. And then he's set upon by these two mysterious, maybe government officials. And that's when, kind of shit hits the fan, because they're the first people besides his ex-girlfriend that knows his true identity. And so that's red flags right there. And so they kind of blackmail him into helping steal this answering machine.
Which is actually like it's the result of a brilliant mathematician played by Donald
Logue
in his first role.
I had totally forgotten until I just watched it today. I'm like, that's fucking Donald. That's MTV Cab Guy.
It's so funny, yeah.
The number field sieve is the best method currently known. There exists an intriguing possibility for a far more elegant approach. Here we would find a
That's good.
and hey, I got a cab, I got a fare here.
When you need a scientist, you call Donald Logue.
So he creates basically this, it's an algorithm essentially. Everyone says everything's an algorithm. It's an algorithm. But it was an algorithm for
It's like encrypted
decrypting
key.
and encrypting messages using a supercomputer.
Mm-hmm.
Certain people on the team are good at different things, although in my opinion some people felt a little samey. Like Donald Creese was the muscle, I assume.
Sure. Yeah, Creese
right?
was the guy that got kicked out of the CIA for roughing up too many people, so I can see that.
So is he like, he's like the Captain America of the group? Like he's just because he knows
we don't have to
government?
Compare them to Avengers just because Redford and Ben Kingsley both played Marvel villains.
Oh no, I think he's just like their security guy,
Okay.
He knows security systems, he knows weapons, he knows that kind of stuff. He has contacts still.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Yeah.
He's so good at security, he brings his wife and daughter to a dinner with criminals.
Yeah.
River Phoenix plays like a 19-year-old hacker kid that was just like, they met when he was 15 because he was trying to break in to change
the school
his grades.
Change his grades. Yeah.
And like, don't send him into prison for 35 years, which is what you get for computer crimes. Let him be on a team of adult felons.
Mm-hmm.
And hang out in a Winnebago.
Yeah. Oh, man. And Ben Kingsley should have got paid like 10 times over because he has like 10 different accents. It's so hard to keep up.
Oh, I love it. We're going to change the world, Marty. Marty.
Can't kill my friend. Hey, kill my friend.
Kill my friend.
I cannot kill my friend. Kill my friend.
I'm trying to sound American here, guys. Does my American accent sound good?
Oh, shit.
He's literally doing the Mandarin from Iron Man 3.
A little bit.
I'm Trevor.
And fucking Darth Vader.
Yes.
Cameo.
That's James Earl Jones. That's Sidney
himself.
Poitier, you racist. Oh, James Earl Jones.
Jesus Christ.
Edie is not in Europe.
And what do you want?
Simba.
I want a lot of sand. Gets everywhere.
I really like Mary McDonnell's performance in this.
Yeah.
Because she's so, like, refined and classy, but she'll give it right back to the guys.
What's her role on the team?
Well, they use her for essentially a honeypot. Yeah.
Well, no, she's good at. Oh, she contacts. She has contacts with like the tech world. Like that's how they find out about Dr. Gunter Janik. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's like a music teacher now,
Mm-hmm.
but she has like a past with Martin Bishop.
Yes, they used to date. And they are not getting back together.
We're not getting back together.
Did I say anything?
You will.
No,
about it.
And they don't, which I thought was a good choice.
Yeah, it was the major league. We're not getting back together.
Sure. Or starting. Yeah, exactly.
But one of my favorite scenes is when they invade her apartment.
And just like go and pack the van, and she's just holding the door open, just like. I guess
more
I
and
agreed
more
to this.
and more stuff.
Yeah. Sorry, we gotta go through the trash. Just fucking Dan Aykroyd all sloppy showing up with bagfuls of trash.
Yeah, you get a lot of stuff in a trash bag for sure.
I wish he was in it a little bit more. He was great in this, and I feel like he was given the least amount to do.
He was wearing a Tragically Hip shirt and a San Jose Sharks sticker. I was like, this guy's he's about what he's about in this movie. He just gets to do whatever he wants. It's great. But I guess everyone brought their own clothes for this movie because Robert Redford wore the natural jacket, thinking we wouldn't notice. Like, what are you, Jeff Bridges with one shirt? What are you doing?
Oh my god, the camel tail on those jeans was so distracting constantly. I'm like, god damn. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Trying to hit all the demographics. It's played very well in West Hollywood.
So there's heist stuff, there's intrigue, there's spying, there's government stuff. River Phoenix jumps out of his ceiling and lands on a guy like John McClane in Die Hard, so that's pretty cool.
They do a really good job in this movie of like jumping back and forth between two things that are going on to create tension, especially the shots back and forth and with the music. And the one that jumps out in my head the most is they're doing the party after they get the box, and Whistler and Carl and Mother are playing with it while Bishop and Liz are trying to figure out what the anagram for Too Many Secrets is. Because they keep going back and forth like, oh, try this channel, and then you see they've tried to make out something from C-Tech, and they're like, no. And one of them's like cootie something semen they make out of C-Tech astronomy. Cootie rat semen, that's what it is.
Right.
Cootie's rat semen.
No, I don't.
I don't think that's what it's supposed to be.
It's clearly rat's cootie semen.
There you go.
There was some dad jokes in there. Tell her you got to give him head or whatever. I was like, oh my god, you will facepalm a couple times.
It's 1992 though. This was a progressive movie for 92.
It was very progressive.
Oh my god, who knew it was so politically charged too? At the very end, the credit crawl where they're just like, the Republican National Committee is now bankrupt, but all this Green New Deal things is fully funded. I was like, oh shit. It ends with a statement.
Yeah, but most of the good hackers now are Russian, and they would never hack the RNC and steal their own money back. So
it's also a good family thriller as well, because yes, there is some iffy.
There's a little bit of language, but
I was 10. I didn't catch the cootie semen reference, so it was mostly just. It kept a 10-year-old entertained. It seems like it would be super dry because you explain this movie. It's like, oh, the government and spies and a computer algorithm to encrypt messages, and you're just like, I want to watch Legends of the Hidden Temple. But I watched this. I watched it. I came in when this movie was in progress, and I sat down and watched the whole rest of it. So at 8, 10, I was completely enraptured by how interesting the movie was, and there were some physical bits. A blind guy driving a van. The way to defeat
banter.
A keypad number lock. Yeah.
Yes.
It's a very funny movie.
It's very funny, and all the banter that the characters have back and forth. There's always something going on to keep you going. Like they figure out a stumbling block, and then it's like, okay, how are they going to get around that? Just all the stuff they do where they discover, there's a voice activated password they have to do. So then they're like, okay, we need to track who's coming out of the office next to it. So you see their whole process with that. We get an enhance moment during that scene. A couple of those. Yeah. And then they have to they get the guy's trash, and they have to set Liz up because they find out he's a computer dater, so that's their in. And they go to a Chinese restaurant to try to get him to say this series of words so they can use the recording to get through this. They stay there until they're almost getting kicked out, and the last word is passport. And it's like, how would you go about fitting that naturally into? That's a good idea.
I would say pass. Good to say port. Would you
That's a good idea.
Would you prefer share your port?
Pass the port. No, it's so good. What a great bit though, because they
it's
sit
so
down,
good.
And she's just like, okay, that's such an interesting name, Warner Brandis. Can you say that for me? And he just has this mouthful of this song.
What an interesting name you have. How exactly do you pronounce it?
And he's just constantly trying to, because like in every other date he's been on, like no one gives a shit what this guy has to say. He's like the dullest person ever, and he's like, why is this? He's almost annoyed with her. Like, why is she so into me?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's so good. Yeah, that whole back and forth because, and that's how you do like a good tension-filled scene is you kind of sprinkle it in with comedy, because that scene starts off as like a complete farce. With that joke, like starting it out, and then it ends in a really well melded, like tension-filled way.
It's like, I got caught doing a wacky caper. I tried to get you to say passport, and then it's like, our wacky physical bit ended, and there's a gun in her ribs, and you're like, there are real world consequences, because you get so sucked in by like what a wacky scenario is. Like, they're gonna fucking kill her.
Kill
if they
them,
figure this out. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, it just breaks a lot of the norms too, because like not the bad guy doesn't die at the end, the bad guy doesn't commit murder at the end or anything. He's a bastard, but he's also kind of sympathetic. He's just like this smartest guy in the room, that's probably not very well liked. Like the people skills are down. He has this one friend that he idolized, and his friend wound up getting out.
And I think the biggest thing, he wants, Robert Redford's character to join him on this quest, because he thinks that he's the only one that can understand fully what he's trying to accomplish.
Can we talk about how they gave a phone number that wasn't 555?
Oh yeah, because
I wonder
movies would sometimes do this.
Yeah, I read that they bought that number.
Oh, okay.
So if you called after the movie, it's like coming soon from Touchstone Pictures.
They actually like turn that into part of the experience now with like Stranger Things.
The pizza place.
The pizza place where you could call and all you get is like a weird static and then like weird music and stuff. So, yeah, but back in the day, especially most of the movies that we talk about on here from the 90s, it's always 555, something. But can we talk about how just adorable that bit is at the end, where everyone gets to make a magic box wish, and then River Phoenix just wants the girl's number.
Just wants her number,
and she's just like everyone's like,
I make $32,000 a year.
Yeah.
I'm wearing a suit from Joanne Fat. Are you sure? I bought this off the rack at Fashion Bug.
Oh, it's so adorable though, because everyone else is just like, you need to fucking stop. This is creepy. And she's like, you can have anything in the world. You want my number? That's awesome.
Young lady with the Uzi. Is she single?
Yeah, Carl. Excuse us.
Yeah.
And it's just funny how annoyed James Earl Jones is through that entire process.
Yeah.
What do you want, Mr. Bishop? What? This is not a car dealership, pal. Tahiti is not in Europe. We are the United States government. We don't do that sort of thing. What?
It's just like, Tahiti is not in Europe.
That was the most dialogue Dan Aykroyd got in the whole movie.
Yeah.
Kind of.
But I mean,
he was a little underutilized, but he's such a wild card. You don't need the wild card to do exposition.
I think we get enough of him, because everything he says is just fucking bananas.
Accelerating from 0 to 40 miles an hour to reach the corner of 8th Avenue and 42nd Street going past me, and then pulling a U-turn and going out towards Times Square, I would have seen that car.
Like talking about the faked moon landing, and I can't remember what assassination he was talking about, but he was like, it was the same people that set up Pete Rose, that framed Pete Rose.
Did you know the deputy director of planning was down in Managua, Nicaragua the day before the earthquake?
What?
I'm like, what the fuck?
They didn't kill him, they shot him, but yeah.
Real life Dan.
Yeah, he's still alive, that's right. Exactly. It's so funny.
Buy my Crystal Skull vodka.
Well, and then I can't remember, he gives Sidney Poitier like some readout or schematics or something. He's like, yeah, I got this from my buddy back in Desert Storm. Of course, he was on the other side. I was just like, Jesus Christ.
What?
His lines are so good.
It wasn't even it looked like a schematic, but it was just the instructions on how to get through that door with the keypad.
Yeah. To kick it.
I remembered that bit from 1992. When I think about that movie, I think about that bit. That's such a good bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
One of my other favorite scenes is when Whistler is trying to reconstruct the noises from Bishop's ride in the trunk. It's just so clever how they put that together and how it's cut together, because you go back and forth between Robert Redford and David Strathairn and the Braille terminal, which I always thought was so cool.
That was so cool.
It's
whole
so
scene
cool.
With his goggles and shit and the reflection, like it's just a really cool looking scene.
I mean, this was cutting edge tech for '92.
Yes.
But some of that stuff, it feels like the the spooks have had that stuff forever.
Yeah.
But like actual civilians have never seen tech like this. It's like, are you kidding me? I have a shitty nanny cam and a teddy bear, and I could have had a pinhole camera on my lapel. What are you?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it surprised me watching it like in 2022 with the effectiveness and the economy of the way they filmed it, because like I'm watching Robert Redford like crawl through the ducts, and then like it's the whole like he's got the man in the ear type deal, and then like the shit shuts off, and I was like, oh shit, like I was getting into it. I was just like, oh my god. And then like the Wallace or whatever, who walks in, then he could hear him, because it's just like the technology is shit. Like an earpiece back then is probably like just as loud as us talking now, and so he could hear him through there and all this. It's everything kind of like fit and made sense in a way that a lot of action movies don't. Because it's people talking in rooms or running away from each other from like one side of the room to the other. And they had to sex that up so much to make it interesting, and they did.
It hit with that first setup of, we want you to go steal this box, whatever. And you think that's going to be the main story. But then everything that happens is, a precursor to the next thing. It always drives the story somewhere else. Every next decision they make, okay, we have to get this, so how are we going to do this? And then we follow them and how they figure that out. And it builds. Yeah, it just builds upon itself. And I think that's what keeps it really interesting.
It's a great MacGuffin. And the fact that they get it 20 minutes into the movie is cool.
And it's constantly changing. It's like a shell game.
Oh, yeah.
Because they didn't just have to steal it. They had to steal it back, and then they had to take the chip out of it.
Right.
To
And
take it out of
they
the
get
box.
an empty box. Yeah. Oh, God. It's good. It's good. Good shit. First 15 minutes into it, I was just like, what have we done? Jason did this again. Like, this is Hudson Hawk 2. And then it just has a way of just really kind of, growing and building. And you just get sucked into this one. And it's a lot of fun. So, I mean, who would we recommend this for? I was like, while I was watching him, I was just like, I don't know who I could recommend this for, like, broadly.
What?
Could you recommend this broadly nowadays?
If you're old enough to remember what an answering machine is.
Yes.
We're dying off soon.
I think there's a lot of people, that were kids at that time or whatever that haven't seen it since then. I think that this really deserves going back and watching again and rediscovering it.
It's been tough for the Russian spies in the 3 years since the Berlin Wall came down.
Right? Can't get good jobs, man.
Yeah, they started writing this movie before the fall of the Berlin Wall, basically, right? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like movies like Buckaroo Banzai, and you could recommend that to a Gen Zer nowadays, because it is just weird enough to be like, what the fuck am I watching? Either way, if they hate it or not. See, that's the blind spot, I think, for a film like this, because I think it's just too, I don't want to say smart. I don't know. It's just too something. Is it too dad?
But like, I saw it when I was 8 or 9 or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because I gave it a chance. So just give it a shot. Some of the tech, it seems pretty good 30 years later. And some of the stuff's pretty dated, and that's funny too. But this movie doesn't have really dated special effects.
No.
It's just, they made this movie for $22 million. And they did that by not having big explosions and shit. It's not it's not an action movie, but it is thrilling.
It's paced that way. Yeah. It's paced that way.
It's a crime noir almost, the way it's paced.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest way to get people who haven't seen this movie to watch it is just the cast. It's stacked from top to bottom. It's just great actors. And they're doing a very great job. And the characters are written so well.
where else are you going to see Ray Stantz and Darth Vader in one room? Like,
Right.
I want a Winnebago.
What?
Oh, James Horner's score?
Oh, yeah. I thought the score was pretty good. It fit, especially, you know, when it would change between the tense moments and then the more quiet moments when they're messing around with the box. It fit everything so well.
It does that generic tension, like quiet,
Yes.
and then banging on the low keys of the piano, which I found quite charming because it's I mean, he's breaking into a heat sensitive room, and like later on, like Ben Kingsley walks in, he's like, "Why is it so hot in here?" it's Marty, you know. It's just like, all that with the and I don't know. It was just,
How many bits from this movie did Mission Impossible rip off?
Quite a
The
few.
Almost getting crushed by the elevator bit.
Yeah.
Or, like getting into the room where you can't make noise.
Sure.
Body temperature. There's a lot of
stuff
Mission Impossible
similarities.
cribbed from this movie.
This walked with a cane, so all those movies could run.
Could jump out of a helicopter at 58 because. Haha, I can't be gay if I do my own stunts. Whee!
Oh, God.
Well, when you're not doing your own stunts, Jason, where can everyone find you?
I'm at Jason
Show
E. Alt
it.
on Twitter. I got a link tree. Just click on the link tree. Are you going to like the other stuff I do? I don't know. I'm not your dad. So check out my link tree.
But we do like dad movies, just like Lindsay Washburn. Where can everyone find you?
You can find me on YouTube at Lindsay Washburn and on Twitter and Instagram at the Lindsay Washburn.
Very good. I am John the Host. You can follow me at John the Host. You can follow this very show at The Cult of Film. You can listen to this in podcast form, like iTunes and Spotify and answering machines around all other boomers. Fucked it up. Whatever. Well,
Just leave all this in. People should see how the sausage gets made. Sometimes there's some lips and assholes in your sausage.
Sometimes.
Huge asshole right here. Yeah, we just got to end this in a really cringy dad way.
Dude, well, I mean, the line that Werner Brandes says to Liz about making her breakfast, and he goes, "Should I call you or nudge you?"
Nudge you.
So creepy.
Imagine being the actor that had to absorb that line from Stephen Tobolowsky.
Ned Ryerson. Imagine waking up next to Ned Ryerson every day.
Oh my God.
我就是Teen Leroy Brown, cleanest man in the whole downtown. 臭名人破萬真相，世界以為他是個王。那個 Leroy 也愛賭博，他更愛穿得名牌，裝扮像個畜生。
What?